Do you use percentages to allocate and distribute your business income, but you still have lots of months where it just feels like your business isn't doing very well because there isn't enough money to pay the bills? Well, in this episode, we're going to talk about why percentages actually don't work for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the early years, and why they're a really bad idea because they make you think that your business isn't succeeding or doing well when in fact it is. So in this episode, we're going to talk about why they don't work for most entrepreneurs and what you should be doing instead to let you know that your business is doing quite well and to make sure the bills get paid. And if you enjoy this video, I'd love you to hit the like button, click subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well, because that way you'll get to see more episodes like this, which are designed to help you transform your finances and shift your money mindset so you can create a state of abundance both inside and out. So there's a lot of experts out there who will tell you to use percentages to distribute your income. And there is a time and a place for that, absolutely. But what I found when I was building my business is that it just didn't work for me. And it was only when I really started to work in my finance business and understand numbers better that I realized it wasn't that my business wasn't doing well. It was that this system of using percentages just wasn't appropriate for where I was at in my business. And I developed a better way, a way that you can start early on when you're first getting going with your business, and that you can then take with you way into, when your business is mature and making plenty of surplus profit. And I see this still with new students coming into the Magnetic Money program. They've been following this system, they've been following this person, and absolutely, there is a place for percentages where they work. I still think there's a better way, but we'll just agree to disagree. But there is a time and a place where they absolutely can work. However, those people are not at that stage of business. And so they don't even realize that it's not that their business isn't doing well, it's that percentages are just not the right thing to be doing at their stage in business. So let's talk about what that's all about and what you need to do instead that's going to work a whole lot better and let you know how well your business is actually doing. Okay, let's start by talking a little bit about percentages. Why do people advocate this system of using percentages? What's the thought process behind it? And who's it really designed for? So the idea behind using percentages to distribute your income means that, you've got this pie, this amount of income, and you then assign the percentages. And I'm just going to make up some numbers. So don't, take these at face value. Your numbers will be what your numbers are, but I'm telling you not to use percentages anyway. So it's all irrelevant, right? But for an example, say you've decided to use percentages and you say, okay, 20% is going to be put aside for tax, 40% is what I'm going to pay myself, and the other 40% I'm going to use to reinvest in my business and help maintain my business and also grow my business. So the idea there is that, you're always being paid, the business is being paid a reasonable amount, and you're putting your tax money aside, and everything kind of is looked after as you go. And because your income is going to vary by using percentages, it means, well, whatever the income is this month, we're still distributing it according to these rules, these parameters. So we're keeping it fair. If I'm not making so much money, I don't get paid so much, and I don't have so much available to invest in my business for business growth, and I don't have to pay so much tax. And on the months where I'm making lots and lots of money, I'm not just blowing it all by, investing in some major website redevelopment and I'm not getting paid, or I'm not just paying it all to myself and not using it wisely to keep growing my business. So that's the idea behind percentages, which is really, really sound at face value. And then there's, that little tweak on the whole percentage system where some people actually pay themselves a small percentage first and then distribute the rest of the pie. So the thinking there is that I'll take the first 10% off the top of whatever I've made, and I'm going to put that aside. That's for me, because I'm the business owner. I'm the one taking the risk. I'm the one doing all the work, and I want to make sure I get paid and rewarded. And again, at face value, great idea, because you don't want to be working for nothing. You don't want to put all your, blood, sweat, and tears into this business, and all the money goes back into the business, and you end up finding that you're still driving the same old jalopy and living in the same house that, really could use a bit of an upgrade. So that's the thinking behind it. And all of that makes perfect sense. But here's the thing. That system actually works when people make at least their baseline income every single month, when the amount of money that comes in is enough so that when it's distributed by percentages, there is enough for the business to pay its bills. There is enough for you to be paid and to pay all your personal bills. And there is enough for that money to be put aside for tax. It assumes that it's always enough, that that business is mature enough to always be hitting its baseline income target. So in a minute, I'm going to explain to you why percentages aren't working for you, because that's why you're here, right, watching this video. But first, I want to know, have you been using percentages? Have you been trying to use the system? Like, for how long? And what's been going on for you? What's your experience been with using percentages to distribute your income? Let me know in the comments. So let's talk about why percentages to distribute your income doesn't work for a lot of entrepreneurs, and why it's probably not working for you. And that is because it does not work for you when you don't meet your baseline income. Now, your baseline income is the minimum amount of money you need to bring in, say, per month, to be able to have enough put aside for tax, to be able to cover all your business's bills and commitments, and for you to be paid what you need to be paid to pay your personal bills and to live off, right? So there's a baseline income number. Now, for most entrepreneurs, especially if they're in startup or the early years of business, if they don't have a well-established business where they're always exceeding that baseline income, what happens on the months where they have the excess income, they do their income distributions, right? And they go, oh, great, we've got so many more dollars in the business this month, so let's upgrade the website or commit to something else, maybe a new coaching program, whatever it is. They have extra money in their personal bank account because they got paid a bigger dollar amount on that big income month. Percentage of a bigger dollar amount means they got paid more dollars, right? So then they'll say, oh, you know what? I'm just going to dump all of that on the credit card, or I'll book that holiday. They'll commit that money to something. And then fast forward a little bit and you'll have an income month where you don't meet your baseline income. And then suddenly you're in trouble because you don't have enough money to pay yourself, for the business to pay its bills, and often let alone putting that money aside in tax. And so then you put aside these smaller dollar amounts. And, that seems great at face value, because you go, yeah, but then you've got the bigger, the bigger months where you do have that extra money. But the problem is in the way people use that surplus money on the income months where they exceed their baseline income. They will put that extra money towards something like paying extra off the credit card. Great idea, right? Absolutely. When you've got spare money, you want to pay it off the credit card. But the problem is when you've done that, the money's gone. And the next month, if you don't have enough income to even pay like your basic bills, and you start worrying about paying the rent or the mortgage, then you think, shivers, I just paid all that extra money to the credit card last month, but this month I could have actually really used that money to be able to just pay my basic commitments and living expenses. And so that's the problem with percentages, because on the big months, there is no accountability. And then on the low months, you've got no way of figuring out how to get through them. So what do we want to do instead? Okay, instead of using percentages, which can be a bit of a feast to famine roller coaster, where you go from jubilation to depression the next month. Instead of doing that, what we want to do is to actually smooth that cash flow so that those months where the income is low is offset and properly balanced out by the months where the income is higher. So we want to actually smooth our cash flow proactively instead. Now, I recently did a video about that. I'm going to pop up, this is what it looks like, and I will pop it up at the end of this episode so that you can just click on it, and I'll also link it in the comments below. So that actually talks you through the two, that's right, only takes 2 steps to smooth your cash flow. And when you do that, it changes everything. Because when you're proactively smoothing your cash flow, you're no longer giving away money this month that you may actually really, really need next month. And this is why it's so important to have a money system that helps you smooth your cash flow. And it's why I developed the magnetic money system, which does lots of things, but very, very critically, it's designed for people with irregular income to help them smooth their cash flow. Now, there is actually the Magnetic Money System Bootcamp available, which you can check out right here. I'll put the link in the description below, and that allows you to set up your entire money system and walks you through step by step how to actually proactively smooth your cash flow and distribute your income every single week in just 5 easy minutes. Now, the very first place to start with all of that is to actually organize and tidy your banking. It's kind of like you need to get the right infrastructure in place so that your money can be directed through the various channels it needs to flow through. And I do have a free workshop that you can do to help you get started with that. It's the Organize and Tidy Your Banking workshop. And again, I'll pop the link to that in the description below this episode. I will also pop up another couple of videos that will help you with this, including the one on how to smooth your cash flow. So you'll be able to just click on them. They'll pop up here. You can actually click on them, go straight through, and they'll also be linked in the description for you below. And if you got value out of this video, please do leave me a comment below. I really like to hear from you and get some feedback and know exactly what it is that really helped you, that stood out, that makes a difference. And also give us your thoughts, your insights, your tips and tricks, and make this a resource for everybody else as well. Please hit the like button, consider subscribing, click the notification bell to help you see more episodes like this, because it's time for you to embrace your unlimited potential and create a state of abundance that's both internal and external. And I'm here to support you in that journey. See you next time. Bye for now.